Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist, creator of that popular trio, Stop-Et Spray Deodorant. Oof, there goes perspiration. Its delightful spray mate, Poof, Deodorant Body Powder. And Finesse, the new flowing cream shampoo. And now Dr. Jules Montagnier, originator of these three fine products, invites you to enjoy What's My Line?
And now, let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, a young man whose new nightly television program is taking the East by storm, Mr. Steve Allen.
Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you. And on my left, a lovely lady of radio and television who has her own TV show, Talent Patrol, seen Monday nights on another network, Arlene Francis.
And on my left, the distinguished publisher, wasn't sure just how distinguished he was there for a minute, distinguished publisher of Random House and Modern Library books, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
Thank you, Arlene. And on my left is a gentleman who has just been elected vice president of American Broadcasting Company, but who, despite any rumors you may have heard to the contrary, is going to stay right here with us on What's My Line, I hope from here to eternity, Mr. John Charles Daly.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. And by the way, now you have met our most excellent panel, I think you'll all be interested in knowing that a very fine writer, Maurice Zolito, has written a piece not only about our panel, but about this phenomenon of television called the Panel Program, and it's in this week's Saturday Evening Post. It's a very fine piece of writing. I enjoyed it. I think you will. And once again tonight, we're going to bring our cameras up close to some people who have come up close to us and brought with them some very interesting occupations, which we trust the panel will have some trouble with, so they'll carry home some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger a bit later, but now it is time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they've got to spot. So will you sign in, please, ma'am? Candy Sherry Dunn. Is that right? Actually, I might say to begin with that I can quite understand the Candy. You look sweet enough to be Candy, you know. Where are you from?
I'm from Nashville, and I married a Yankee, so I live in Nantucket.
From Nashville, Tennessee, and you married a Yankee and you live in Nantucket. Well, it's nice of you to... Is that what happens when you marry a Yankee?
The most awful things happen to you when you marry a Yankee.
Actually, we're not half as bad as we're painted sometimes. Yeah. But now I've got some Yankees that I want you to meet. Would you be good enough to walk down in front of the panel?
We had Yogi Berra here once.
Hi.
All right, now, Mrs. Sheridan, will you come over here, please, and sit down next to me? And I think you may know that at this point in the program, we always give the panel one free guess as to what your line may be, and we always begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
Oh, I think she's a lobster fisher lady.
A lobster fisher lady, Mr. Allen.
I just want to sit here and laugh at that, that's all. I think candy is a carbohydrate.
Miss Francis.
I think Candy is a riveter at an airplane factory.
Mr. Cerf.
I think Candy works on the Nantucket Lightship.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mrs. Sheridan, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. All right, Mrs. Sheridan, I think probably the rules are known to you. Every time you get a no answer out of them, it costs the panel $5. We keep a record of all that right up here. And 10 of these no's, and you have won the game. All right, Mrs. Sheridan is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, sir.
Mrs. Sheridan, do you work on the island of Nantucket?
Yes.
Well, does your work have anything to do with tourists or vacationers?
Sometimes.
What else is there in Nantucket? Are you in the town of Nantucket itself?
Yes.
Do you work in a shop in Nantucket?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is there any service involved in your work?
Yes.
Would you perform this service for grown-ups,
Yes.
men and women both?
Yes.
She seems almost as surprised as I am. Are they happier? Do they have a better time because of what you do?
Sometimes.
You don't quite understand how perfect that answer is. You go on, Miss Dorothy.
I'm sure you hope they'll have a better time. Because
I shall do.
Do they usually avail themselves of your service in pairs?
No.
No, I wouldn't say that it's unnecessary. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen.
Peaches.
Does the service that you perform for these folks have anything to do with amusement or recreation or sports?
Sometimes.
More ordinarily, then, it would be something of a more serious nature. Is that right?
No, I don't guess so.
Well, actually, I think there we're getting into a rather delicate area. Certainly the work that Mrs. Sheridan does has its serious connotations. At the same time, it may, in its effect upon third parties, supply them or at least further the prospects of good humor, good fun, and good living.
That's fine, but do I get a yes or no?
You get a qualified yes, Stephen. You go on.
Okay. Are they in any way, these people for whom you perform your services, in any way physically changed, for the better or worse, after you get at them?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work indoors, Mrs. Sheridan?
Sometimes.
You just can do it both ways no matter what happens. Is it mostly, do you have mostly transient people that you work for or do your service for?
No.
No, I wouldn't
No?
think they were mostly transient. Bearing in mind Nantucket's basic nature, we'd give you a no to that. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Candy, you said you don't work in a shop in Nantucket. Well, now, Nantucket is completely surrounded, of course, by water. Does your work have anything to do with the wide open sea that surrounds the island of Nantucket?
No.
Nothing.
Well,
at
we'd
all?
have to have a small conference. I've been looking for an excuse anyway. For a long time. We have had an executive committee meeting, and we feel that perhaps we should give you a qualified yes, that the work might have some effect upon the wide open sea and the use thereof.
It might have an effect on the sea?
The use thereof. Actually, the use thereof. I mean, it's the relationship of the sea to the person or persons who might put it to use.
Is there a liquid of any kind mixed up in what you do?
Is there a liquid of any kind
I mean,
mixed
you wouldn't
up
be a
in what you
barmaid
do?
at the White Elephant Hotel or
No,
something.
but I sure would like to.
That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mrs. Sheridan, is the work that you do ever done by a man?
Yes.
Does it require any strength or dexterity?
You mean manual dexterity of a certain and specific nature in the handling of a specific piece of
Oh, I don't want to be
machinery?
too specific, John.
You don't want to be too specific?
No, I just, does it require some physical knack? Is it anything that's done better by a strong girl than a
Thank
weak
you
one?
very much. That'll make it 6 down and 4 to go. Mr. Allen.
When you do what you do, would you be apt to not wear a dress of the type you're wearing right now?
Well, I don't think I really would have to dress different, no.
That would make it 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis. I'm going to give you 1 more minute for this.
Mrs. Sheridan, is there any product whatsoever involved in what you do? It's just a service.
Yes.
Oh, please.
I don't get that yet.
You got a no for that. 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Cerf.
There is no product involved. That was a no.
That's it. The no is on the product.
You don't have anything to do with any phase of photography or camera work, do you?
That makes it 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you by any chance work for a non-profit-making organization?
Yes.
Do you perform some government service?
Yes.
Is it attached to the local Nantucket government?
No.
That would make it 10 down and no more to go, and you were just getting on the trail. Because Mrs. Sheridan is the U.S. weatherman on Nantucket.
Oh, really?
Isn't that wonderful? And I think Mrs. Sheridan deserves a special medal because she said as she sat down, oh, boy, am I scared. You didn't show you're scared, and you won the full prize, and we're very pleased that you came to see us and hope you enjoyed the visit. It's nice to have you with us. Good night. All right, panel, let's see what we can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, sir? Al French. Is that right, sir? Would you first of all tell us where you're from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. Well, it's nice to have you with us. You have lots of moral support. We must have a good section of Ohio with us tonight, so you can go face those Manhattan people, if you will.
Shake hands, Mr. French, will you? You're a strong one. Yeah.
All right, Mr. French, will you come over here now, please, and sit down next to me? At this point, on the basis of this brief acquaintance that you have made with our friends in the panel, they get one free guess as to what your line may be, and the free guesses always begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
I think he's a baseball umpire.
A baseball umpire. Mr. Allen.
I think Mr. French fries potatoes.
Miss Francis.
I think Mr. French does a manual job, but I really don't know what it is, so I just have to be honest. I'm bewildered.
Mr. Cerf.
I think Mr. French is a Shriner and an earner.
Now I'm afraid nobody has got it right. My. So we'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. French, and at the same time, we will tell them what his line is. For it's a battle for the day. Mr. French, you know the rules.
Yes, sir.
Everything's up here. No answers. We flip a card. 10 no's, you have won. All right, Mr. French is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Steve Allen.
Mr. French, is there a product connected with what you do?
Yes, there is.
Is it the sort of thing that I might ever come into contact with? I gather from the reaction that this is something that ordinarily neither Bennett nor I would normally use.
Well, I would think probably we could say that they would not normally use it, wouldn't
Not
you?
normally.
No.
Would a woman use this then?
Yes.
If Arlene, if you don't mind my
Here I go again.
bandying your name about, if Arlene were to use this right now, would she look in any way different than she...
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'd have to say she would look different, you know.
Maybe it's a good idea, Steve.
May I guess then that this is something Arlene would prefer to use not in public?
I would think if she were in such condition that its use was necessary, she would prefer not to use it in public, yes.
Is this something, let's see, is this something that a woman might perhaps get into around bedtime?
Now, I think we've got to be fair.
He said yes, John.
Now, I must say this, that under certain very specific circumstances, it's something that a woman might get into about bedtime, but that would not be normal and procedure, so we'll give you a no on that. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, is it something you do get into?
It may be said that you get into it, yes.
Is it something that anybody else might help you into? Is it something that one would rather not have on? I mean, it's not the sort of thing that I would go out of my way to get.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Is it in any way restraining?
Yes.
Does it keep me from doing anything? No, I don't know why I'm in this act. Does it keep... Would it keep a person from doing something that they should not do?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it in any way in the straitjacket family?
No. 2 down and 8 to go,
Oh, I
Mr.
thought I
Cerf.
was so warm.
Well, if it isn't in the straitjacket family, Mr. French, is there any metal in the construction of this object?
Yes.
Would it possibly be used to keep something chained up in the shape of handcuffs or foot cuffs?
No.
Not foot cuffs.
Foot cuffs.
Foot
Very
cuffs.
handsome objects.
We manufacture words. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Now, may I just straighten out the fact that this is just as easily used by a gentleman if he were in a peculiar position as a lady, or has that been
actually,
determined?
it is put to use by both sexes. It has also been determined that it is not something one necessarily would like to put to use.
It does have a restraining effect.
Yes, that has been...
Is it anything that you slip your arms or hands into?
No, not specifically as arms or hands. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Allen. 1 more minute.
Would you get your whole being into this thing?
Yes.
Like a telephone booth or a paddy wagon or something of that sort, I'm thinking.
Well, yes,
In that
you get
general
your
area.
whole carcass gets in this.
But it's not foot cuffs, is it?
That's a first cousin to a hiccup.
Could more than one person get into it?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with the law or punishment and crime and
Yes.
Dostoevsky and all that sort of thing? You drive a crime and punishment wagon.
No.
No, it doesn't. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss
Is it
Francis.
anything like a cage or a cell?
Yes.
Oh, which one, you mean?
Okay.
It's a cell.
That's right.
You have something to do with making or selling cells?
Yeah, what kind
Buys
of
and
cell?
For
sells.
prison.
Prison cells. That's right. He's right. Mr. French builds very good prison cells. As a matter of fact, I think you're with the Van
can't
Dorn
wait to have
Ironworks,
one.
is it? Van Dorn Ironworks in Cleveland. They make the nicest prison cells if you ever like to build one into the house. Grand stuff. Well, Mr. French, you've done fairly well with the prizes. More than that, we hope you enjoyed your visit because it
Thank
was
you
nice
very
to
much.
have you with us, sir. Good night. Good to see you. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we'll introduce... And now we come to the special feature of the program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends in the panel would most certainly recognize our guest on sight, so we have, as usual, supplied them with blindfolds. Are they all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Join me over here. And panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we dispense with all the usual preliminaries. We get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in the entertainment world?
Yes.
Are you a performer?
Are you a performer?
Yes.
Could you be described as an actor?
Could you be described as an actor?
Probably.
Are you in the movies?
Yes.
May I take it that when you're in the movies, you don't usually sound like this?
Miss Kilgallen would like to know whether she may take it that when you're in the movies, you don't usually sound like this. That's right, Miss Kilgallen, you may.
Are you under 80? Are you what might be described as a glamour boy?
That's a no. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
Are you larger than a bread box?
Yes, our guest is larger than a bread box.
Just wanted to make sure it wasn't Mickey Mouse or somebody like that. Have you been in pictures and been in the public eye for longer than, say, 15 years? And now it's 16.
You get a yes to that, Steve.
You are a man. That has been determined, has it not?
It has not. Would you like to ask the question?
No, I'll just take it for granted. That's... I mean, it's his problem, not mine. funny if I was wrong now. Might we have seen one of your motion pictures at a first-run theater in New York City within the last 12 months?
Yes.
Was it a black and white picture rather than color?
Yes.
Are you a character actor?
Just a minute, Steve. We got to have a conference.
Oh.
Go ahead, Steve. Things are getting more interesting every minute.
They're not over here, isn't that funny? You often do the leads in pictures, do you?
You often do the leads in pictures? We would like a more specific designation of lead, Mr. Allen, so that we don't mislead you.
Does it say starring dee-doo-doo, wherever you are? Now and
Does
then.
it say starring dee-doo-doo? Yes, it says starring dee-doo-doo.
That's who it is.
Were you by any chance born elsewhere than in the United States?
No.
All right, that's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Now, it has been established by Steve that you are a character actor. Are you a comedian, character actor?
Yes.
Do you play older parts, you know, father of the bride and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Have you ever appeared in the New York theater?
Yes.
Did you hate it? Do you have a distinguishing characteristic?
You mean like...
You know, like a big
Big
mouth
ears,
or big ears or no hair or 2 noses?
Well, actually, there is, I think, I will, with our guest permission, say there is a distinguishing characteristic, yes.
Well, is the distinguishing characteristic around the head, face and head?
Yes.
Is it anything to do with a hirsute appendage?
I beg your pardon. It has nothing to do with a hirsute appendage, no. 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Bennett, Cerf, and we have about 3 minutes to go.
Incidentally, that's a hearing aid for you people who don't know what we're talking about.
Might I ask you if you have ever had the, I consider, inestimable privilege of appearing in a picture with Marilyn Monroe?
Yes.
Would you have played the part of a gentleman who provided her with a diamond tiara in a very recent picture?
Yes.
Well, I guess it's a very distinguished gentleman named Charles Coburn.
Yes, it is Charles Coburn, and he's distinguished in more ways than we, I should think, have the opportunity to talk about. The man who gets around so much. After all, he is distinguished in his chosen field, the arts. But not only that, I think he's made a picture with Marilyn Monroe and also Jane Russell called Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. A 4-dimensional picture, says Mr. Coburn. And they do say, sir, that a man is as young as he feels. May I congratulate you on your 16th birthday. It's wonderful to have you with us. Yes, please do. Well, my congratulations to the panel, and certainly congratulations go to Mr. Coburn, who shows himself to be as charming a gentleman as we all have known him on the screen. And next week at this same time, our panel of experts will be asked, "What's my line?" by this woman. Would you know what she does from day to day to make a living? Could you possibly spot her line? Well, for the answers to these questions, we trust the answers will produce both humor, fun, and information. Be sure and be with us again next Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, when once again we invite you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly series. Until we see you again, this is John Daly saying Good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Steve.
Hi, Dorothy. John, I just wanted you to know I knew Mrs. Sheridan was a meteorologist. You can look in her eyes and tell weather, you know, right away. Good night, Arlene.
Thanks, love. And don't let your shoe cuff know what your handcuff is doing. Good night, Bennett.
Good night, Prexy Daly.
Good night, Bean. Nice to have seen you. And good night, ladies and gentlemen. And thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Trotman production in association with the CBS Television Network.